In this video, I'll be showing you how to create forms in HTML. Now, a form is the most delicate part of your website because you use forms to collect users' input. So with forms, you can collect someone's first name, you can collect someone's username, password, date of birth, and even login credentials. Okay, so when a hacker wants to hack your website, the first thing they target is the form. So I'm going to be showing you how you can create forms in HTML, and subsequently I'll be showing you how you can add securities by validating your forms and all that. So for now, to create a form, first of all, let's create a comment. So I'll just come to this next line and I will create a comment to indicate that this section is for forms. Okay, so I'll just come here, and to create a comment, I'll press Ctrl// on my keyboard, then I'll type this is the form section. All right, so this is what I'm going to type here. This is the form section, and then I'll come to the next line. So to create a form, we need to first of all add the form element. So I'll just type form here and press enter, and you can see that it creates the form element for me, and this element has attributes like the class, the action, and the method. Okay, so I want you to ignore all these things for now, just focus on the front end, and we are going to be going into this later, but for now let's just focus on this one. So after creating the form, we now come inside the form and start adding our content. So the first thing I want to add, I just want to put H2 here, and then I'll write scholarship application form. Okay, so scholarship application form, and then I come to the next line, and then I now need to start creating my form. So to create this form, I can even just give an instruction here. If I put P, I can write something like kindly fill in the form below correctly and avoid mistakes. So I just put full stop here, just something very basic, something very simple. So I just save this and I go to my browser, and then I refresh, and when I scroll down, you can see we have this H2 here, scholarship application form, and we have kindly fill in the form below correctly and avoid mistakes. So this is what we have here. Then I will go back to my code. After this paragraph, I'll come down here, and we need to create a single line form. Okay, a single line input. So to create that, we first of all need to label our form. So we want to create a form for the first name, which is a single line input. So I'll just come and put label here, and when I put label, I'll come in here and I will write first name, and then I give one space just to separate this content from the box. So after writing first name, I now need to put in the input box, and then I need to come here and write input, and then I press enter, and you can see I now have the input here. The input element is an empty element because it doesn't have a closing tag, while the label is a container element. All right, I now come here and I save this, and when I come to the browser and I refresh, I scroll down, you can see we now have first name, and when I click here, you can see it starts blinking, which means the user can put his or her first name here. So this is how you create a single line input form, or a one line input form. Oops. This is how you create it for first name. Now I can still come to my form, and when I come here, I'll go to the next line, and I will still put label, and this time I'm going to be using the surname. I'll put the surname, give space, come here, and I will write input, and when I press enter and save it, Ctrl S, I will go to my browser, and if I refresh, you'll see what happens. So I just refreshed it, and you can see that the surname appeared here with the input box. But the issue is that this surname is appearing on the same line with the first name, even though in my HTML I put this on another line, but it's still appearing on the same line. So I know you're going to be curious to ask, why is it so? And that is because this input is an inline element. Okay, this is an inline element, and we are going to be looking at inline and blocks and block elements later in the section of this video. But with this inline element, all this content, the content is stuck together on one line. But when it's a block element, like here we have this scholarship application form, it occupies the whole space in the on your browser. Okay, so it blocks everywhere and occupies the whole space. Why for the inline element, it just tucks together and everything is on one line. So that is it. So to make this thing to come down, to make this surname to come down, we need to add the line breaks. Remember, we treated line breaks earlier. So I just come here and put BR and I press enter, and I'll do Ctrl S. So when I go back to the browser and I refresh, you see that this thing now comes to the next line. We have the first name and we have the surname on the next line. And when I add this to the next line, you can see that the border, this is touching the border of the first name. So all I need to do is to come to the code and add another line break. So I'll put BR again and I'll press enter, Ctrl S, come to the browser and I refresh, and now you can see that we have a decent amount of space here. So we have the first name and we have the surname, and all this is just a single line input. Okay, so someone can just come here and put the first name, someone can come here and put the surname here as well. So this is single line input box, and that is how you create that. Same thing, I can still come here, I'll just break it twice here, so I can create another form below. So when I come here, I'll still use label, and this time I'll put email, and then I'll give space. I'll come here and I will put input. I'll press enter, and I can either change this to email or leave it as text. So I can just come here and put email, Ctrl S, and then I come to the browser and I refresh, and you can see I now have email here. So we have the first name, we have the surname, and we have the email here. Now I can also proceed to add the password as well. So to add the password, I will just come back to my browser. Let me come here and break it twice. After breaking it twice, I come down and I put the label, and this time I come here and put something like password. I give space, I come to this side and I put the input, and when I put the input, I will just save it, Ctrl S. I will go to my browser and I will refresh this, and when I refresh, you can see the password appears here. But if I come here and try to put in a password, you can see that the content is displaying. Meanwhile, this is not supposed to be so, because when you want to put a password, you normally see those black dots that normally hide your password. So you can see this is not working correctly, and in order to fix this, we need to make use of the type attribute. So I'll come back to the code, and when I come here, you can see this place we have the type is showing as text, and I'm going to be changing this text now. I'll delete it and I will put password, and I will just save it, come to the browser and I refresh it. So now when I come here and try to put in a password, you can see that it shows this black dots here. It shows the black dots, and there is also this eye icon where I can either hide or reveal my password. Okay, so all these things, this is the single line input box where you just create a form for a single line input. Someone can just come here and put the first name, someone can come here and put the surname, the email, the password, and all that. So that is it for this tutorial. In the next video, I'll be showing you how to create a multi-line input box where someone can even add a comment or a lot of text inside. So I will see you guys in the next video.